You know I could be a lot of things, but I just wanna be your man. Baby, you could be a queen. You know you could rule the world. You could be a lot of things, yeah. Do you wanna be my girl? I could be a lawyer or a doctor, babe. If you ever break a law, I need a dose of pain. I could have my own lead office chair. Baby, I could be a millionaire. I would be a social hurricane. If I was a good treat you like a drug lord. Baby, shovel up my head down there. Nothing wrong with someone who says what? Creating cowboy, tailoring to sell used cars. Or I could live on Ford. There's no more things I could be an astronaut. I could be an aviation. You know I could be a lot of things. I just wanna be your man. Baby, you could be a queen. We know you could rule the world. You could be a lot of things. Yeah. Do you wanna be my girl? You know, baby, you're the one thing I have never figured out. Said I make it work with nothing, but you can't live without. I would never call you one name, even when you lose your mind. If all I ever did was one thing, I hope that it was make you mine. Damn, I could be the boss man, I could be the CEO. I could drive a race car, put me in the head car, maybe watch me go. I could be a rock star, playing in a rock band, singing for you all night long. I could be a Broadway playing till the sun starts fading with a tip jar, singing these same damn song. I could be an astronaut, I could be a heavyweight champ. You know I could be a lot of things. I just wanna be your man. Baby, you could be the queen. You know you could rule the world. You could be a lot of things. Yeah. Do you wanna be my girl?
Hi guys. You did. I'm glad you liked it. It's helpful for me years ago. Okay. Starting point. Pretty cool.
Broken, dancing to a little I feel teardrops, but you just a soul. Walked up, kissed you closer. I can see the pain in your eyes. Crying, you smile. It's only Sundays all you want is love. Tell me, is that true? What if you do? Tell me what we do. Who can ever let you go? Tell me who hurt you? 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 Bathroom, sexy. You looked up like you had something to say. You said, you like me, you must have some shit outside your eyes. I'm trying to keep cool, please don't break me. People out there true? What have you been through? Tell me what to do. Who could ever let you down? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Maybe we're broken right from the start. Maybe we're made for falling apart. Maybe our problems all have a name. First that of pain, nothing's the same. So tell me, who hurt you? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Hey Ralph, how are you? My love, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for being good vibes also. You can be the part, I'll be the clay. You can be the blacksmith, I'll be the blade. You can be the poet, I'll be the song. Or you can be the sunlight, I'll be the dawn. You'll be love, I will be your love, I will be your love. You'll be love, I will be your love. Love you like no other. Thanks, Quentin. I thought you're from Germany, Rob. I will be your compass, you'll be my north, and I will be your sailor, if you'll be my shore. You can be the gravity, I'll be the fall. Or you can be my everything, I'll be your all. Can you hit that, please? I saw that. Right there, I saw that. I heard that. Somebody said he answered you. Yes. You didn't even look over. I didn't have to. Disturbance in the forest. You're the edge and I will gladly take the next step. Come on, take me till I'm drowned. I need you now. You be, I will be your love. I will be your love. You will be love. I will be your love. Love you like no other. You be love. I will be your love. I will be your love. Love. I will be your love. Love you like no other.
I heard this yesterday. I don't know if I played it, but how am I serious? In my ear holes.
I've been a Friday night rambler. I've been a few light ways. I wasn't never getting tied down. Member of the bar crowd, that's my scene. But what's a whiskey on the rocks? Time to stay out. First time she walked in, I saw her damn near all that change. She's got a way. She's got a way. She's got a way. She knows how to stay out. She's daring me all the way. She's got a way. But she dances like that. She's got a good dance on her day. Yeah, she's got a way. She's a different kind of party. She's a different kind of watching that sun come up. Staying in Friday nights down. Give me a miracle. She's got a
Yeah. Highway through the sky, someday soon we'll be together. We moving on, chasing the stars, chasing the stars. Whisper to the sun, I miss you so much. I miss you so much. 111. Baby, maybe if I was to late, maybe on the dark side we could be together, be together. Maybe in the night, highway through the sky. Baby, I die for you. Give all of my life, I die. Forever and try through time with you. And in the next life, I'll find you. I'll find you. Did you mean it when you said forever? Two souls that belong together. Yes, you're it's better. Finding love through the stormy weather. I'll keep on fighting. Did you send a photo to the number? Oh, it's Elmo. Elmo likes that. Cheers. Ah! That was creepy. I creeped myself out. What creeped me out more is how sort of accurate it sounded. I didn't mean to hit it so close. Good flames. For so long I've waited, so long that I almost became just a stone statue, faithful and nobody. I don't wanna get in your way, but I finally think I can say the vicious cycles over the moment you smile. Just like just the dusting no shock is so familiar. So touch me, I can see you in your face. Tears are maybe it's just a guy. When I open my eyes to the future, I can hear you say my name. Surrender.
Sometimes I'm a whole worst enemy. Two cats stretching out in front of me. I'm walking the one that says me now. Sometimes I forget about honesty. Sometimes I forget about honesty. Days turn to months, I can't figure it out. But I pray for the days of my dad, you saw me away. Some of my hands in the holy water, just like my father on a Sunday morning. Starting again. For so many times I could not warn. Cause sometimes falling is the sweetest, and I did it again. One step at a time, we go steady. Two step in the cloud, there's no way. One step in the sand, Lord, carry me now. Some days I'll be searching in the bottom. Some nights I'll be sinking to the bottom. Some nights I'll be thinking I'll never come down. So like my father on a Sunday morning. Starting again. Too many times I could not warn. Just something for me. Sweet, and I did it again. Wash my hands in the early morning. Wash my hands. So wash my hands in the holy water. I prefer 30-30 in the chat. And he's what, like 19? There's a 19-year-old who has better manners and composure than you do. I like children. Wash
you got to make me fall in love, and I don't know what it is. You remind me of drugs, and I don't know what it is. Got me weak, you won't mind when I sleep and get you out of my dreams. You got to make me fall in love, and I don't know what it is. It remind me of drugs, I don't know what it is. Got me weak, you won't mind when I sleep and get you out of my dreams. What is it that you do different? You gon' take me out my bed, yeah. It must be something I'm missing. Yeah, 'cause you bring me down. You give me a smile. Something about your loving, baby. I need it around. Gotta give me something.
Speak for the trees.
Give me nothing. Yeah, just give it to me, baby. What you got to make me fall in love, and I don't know what it is. You got me on drugs, and I don't know what got me, but it got me weak. You won't mind when I sleep, and you out of my dreams.
Right, we too loud. Can't hear your bullshit.
For you outside, money in the car, stay by my side. Don't be like mine, don't be like mine. I'm talking about love, I just need to know. Let me be a lover, baby, I can be a pro. Talking about another one, I don't need another one. Yeah, just give it to me, baby. What you got to make me fall in love, and I don't know what it is. You remind me of drugs, and I don't know what got me, but it got me weak. When I sleep, and get you out of my dreams at all.
Oh, somebody's viciously angry. They're realizing what their spell work is not working, that it backfired. And they're just, they come back so quickly because you came after a chosen one. Came after a goddess.
I've been waiting for you.
You came after a literal royal bloodline angel incarnate. A seraphim at that. Whoops, not my whoops.
Come around and tell me the truth. Everything that you're.
You came after the justice and judgment karma angel incarnate at that. Whoops, not my whoops. You were warned and tested. Weighed in the balance of things, you just lost and failed miserably.
Through. My girl, you got nothing to lose. Oh, now it's a Sunday morning. It's on your I'll be thinking. I've got time and I've got love. I confess you right now. Give me a minute to hold my girl. Give me a minute to hold my girl. Round the town, silent bed, be a good place to rest your head. Give me a minute to hold my girl. Give me a minute to hold my girl. I've been dreaming about it. Looking out and seeing you. Oh, see the man. I'll really got nothing to do. Go now. It's a Sunday morning. It's on your I agree. I've got time. I've got love. No confidence. Rise above. Give
second to turn it around. It takes one hot second to turn it around. I've got time, I've got love, I've confidence, rise above. Give me a minute to hold my girl. Give me a minute to hold my girl. Crowded town, silent bed, people place. I swear. Give me a minute to hold my girl. Give me a minute to hold my girl. I've got time, I've got love, got confidence. Rise above. Give me a minute to hold my girl. Give me a minute to hold my girl.
Hi, baby. Why am I sneezing?
Fires in my head, 'cause I'm wide awake. Why am I awake? The city seems to I wanna give it to you. I wanna give it to you. Tell me, is it so bad? 'Cause it looks like that when I think about it. We're both secrets now. It gives me. Tell me what you want. Yeah, so scared when it hurts right there's no way around. In too deep now, and we'll never be the same. My love don't sleep, my love don't sleep. Me, no, don't sleep. Tell me what I need. It's a different shade. Your hair's the same. I can't escape. For me to be honest, I'll stay. Too high to climb this mountain. I can feel you every way. Is it so bad? 'Cause it hurts like that when I think about it. We're both secrets now and it kills me. But I gotta feel it now. So sad 'cause it feels like that when you're not around. And I'm saying now, that's your way. My love won't sleep. My little ghost queen, you won't chase me. Sleep. Tell me what my dreams could be. No more Am I angry? Oh, why did you do that? Come on. Silly goose. That's so strange. I'm trying to just get back to the songs. This is the disturbing case of Justin Michael. Just his sick obsession. He was obsessed with her? I guess this is a stalking incident. It's been a topic lately, right? Katie gave me that too. Let's see.
Sun just beginning to peak. It was 4 a.m. on May 8, 2014, the beginning of summer in Iowa. Hot, humid, rain always within some kind of distance. An off-duty police officer was driving from Des Moines to the small city of Boone, getting ready to begin his shift. The roads were quiet, sun just beginning to peek its head. However, as he approached the city of Grimes, which was on the way to Boone, he came across a strange scene. He came across what looked to be, like just off the highway, a one-car incident. 30 yards off the highway in a ditch lay a red Ford Taurus. Driver's door was open, airbags deployed, and as this officer slowed down and stopped, he heard a tap tap on his window. A man emerging from the pitch dark asking for help. He seemed jacked up, adrenaline pounding, likely from the crash he had just been in. Now, another cop soon showed up and began speaking to this, very agitated fellow, but something about him was just, a little off, a little askew. He was one of them. After speaking to him, though, for a bit, his story, made sense. He had nothing wrong in him or on him. Cops called him a cab, sent him on his way. If only they'd known what had just happened 30 minutes earlier, probably wouldn't have done, any of that. But this video would have been a lot shorter if they had. Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike. And in this old video, in a small city in Iowa, there was a love triangle. It didn't end well, if you can believe that. Usually when someone says love triangle, you're expecting some kind of drama. Maybe angry text messages. Maybe somebody throws a drink. Facebook posts get a little too personal, but not this one. This one ended with a man being stopped. A home invasion in the middle of the night, 4 gunshots to the head, and a killer who spent months trying to create what he probably thought was the perfect murder. We got obsession, jealousy, co-workers at the worst possible time leading to a murder, and maybe framing too. The trifecta of small town. You thought this was a good idea? Were you? Please subscribe to see news stories for the dark every single week. Now, the place rhymes fitting because the cases don't get much dirtier than this. Let's give it a go.
Thank you. We'll do some Reiki. Just for giggles. Why are the karmics so cranky? Like, what's up upsetting them so much? Why are they so bugged out? Timidity, insoluble problems, so useless activity. They're just wasting their time. Some of them think they're spiritually gifted, I guess. False perception, weak mentality, incoherence, indecision, tribulation, senseless behavior. They're just doing nonsense things like stalking and trying to harass people online. Mediumship without purity goes also into false perception. Anything else? lack of dynamism and willpower, stubborn, relentless, authoritarian, imposing, triggers anger and turbulence, intervening in affairs that will end badly, rushing into things without thinking, violent situation, impetuosity, destruction of entourage. So if they click up in a group, we talked about that in the beginning of the last slide, they all go down together. Excessive reactions, incapable of deciding which direction to take, imposing one's will, forcing destiny, unstable, tumultuous, emotional life, competitive, love, passionate relationships, perverted desires, aversions, fights, quarrels, vulgarity, overly emotional, excessive willpower, spitefulness due to lack of recognition of one's errors, offenses and misdeeds, worsening one's karma, difficult destiny, conflicting, rebellious spirit, pride, blasphemy, rivalry, and animosity. It's coconut water, but yes, that's so good. Again, the main character. Copycats are the NPCs. That's so creepy. Well, I guess we're playing music because I didn't do that. Trevor. Who's Trevor?
My soul can't be sold, shake me cold, shake me cool. That's how I know ground. That's how I know ground. My spirit never told, break my bone, break my bone. That's how I know ground. That's how I know ground. That's how I know ground. Yeah, yeah. That's how I know ground. That's how I know ground. Yeah, yeah. That's how I know ground. That's how I know. That's how I know. That's how I know ground. Yeah, yeah. That's how I know ground. That's how I know ground. Yeah, yeah. That's how I know ground. Make you mine. Voice, church, voice. Thank you. That's how I know ground. Break my secret. My 40 minutes to grow. That's how I know ground. That's how I know ground. Yeah, yeah. That's how I know ground. That's how I know ground. Yeah, yeah. That's how I know ground. That's how I know. That's how I know.
I just got a download about British people complaining about the heat. But I'm not saying it's not hot in certain British heat waves. However, the heat waves there, like at their peak, are in some cases still not as hot as some southern places in America. Like on average, they were hotter. They're hot, those heat waves, but not as hot as some.
That's how I know ground. That's how I know ground.
good. Thank you. How are you? Adventures. I don't know what that is, so probably not.
It's like a drum. Chase has just begun. Stuck in your head. Heart's under your bed. You better stay clever if you want to survive. Once you cross the line, you'll be wishing you could listen when you reach your demise. You'll be wishing you would listen when you reach your demise. It's like a drum. The hunt has just begun. Stuck in your head.
Yeah, I only speak Spanish.
Never shoot us fun. The kings of the killing were out for blood. We'll take them one by one. The kings of the killing were out for blood. We never shoot a stud. The kings of the killing were out for blood. We'll take them one by one. The kings of the killing were
William.
out for blood. Stuck in your head.
We're so entertaining. That's hilarious.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, I'm speaking Japanese. Can you tell? Got a good beat. I like it. Oh, one. This? Coconut water. Good electrolytes. On your grave, taking it back, I feel strong. Every little piece you took from my soul. Now I lay you down to sleep, and I pray with the devil you rest in peace. You can't hang your chains on me when you're 6 feet deep. There's hiding yours to bleed. Now that you're no longer free. Lord, you're dead to me. Rest in on your bones. No tears, no memories, always the road and misery. Burn my degree. Chains on you. This heart ain't yours to break. Hallelujah, hallelujah, to me. I am. Hold me down, hold me down. What's done is done. They made their beds. When you lie down with dogs, you get fleas. Interesting. Guess who just popped up? I was skipping it. You. And one of their birthdays is the same as my daughter's. So they all targeted my child and I, all of that narrative. The dark side of Libra. Karmic, when you choose the karmic path. Cold, cold hand on a stove blade. My heart in my mind on a straw. Tripped and fell down the stairs. Don't know if I'll find again. Sleep in the light like a thief in the night. In the snow, comes the sun will never shine, and the wolves will never cry till I'm home. You again. Love how you kiss every tattoo on my face. Yeah, it's the time and place. You know the darkest thing close to you again. I'm more than what I need. The price of being a thief is that I get to take close to you again. is that chapter. Disturbing case of Justin Mitchell.
So to the town of Grimes, Iowa, we go, and even the name Grimes is not filling me with much enthusiasm. So that's just the feeling, I got from the name of the town. I literally know nothing about it. That was before I learned that Grimes has a suburb of Des Moines. It's the definition of flyover city. But as much as I yuck their yums, it is described as a great place to grow up, calm, good folk. A sleepy town where not much happens, and that ain't a bad thing. And that about wraps up the local color. So, folks, you know all there is to know about Grimes. Oh wait, did I mention it has not one but two ice cream parlors? Pistachio is the deal breaker. Things were not so sleepy though. In early May 2014. 30-year-old Justin Michael was a native of DeKalb, Illinois, son to parents Weldon and Marie. He worked as an accountant at Wells Fargo, but when he wasn't working, he was outdoors. That's what he was all about. By all accounts, Justin was the type of person people genuinely enjoyed being around. People say nice things because they don't want to speak ill of the dead, but this wasn't one of those situations. If there was something outdoors to be done, he would be at it. Sports, travel, or working at Habitat for Humanity, building homes in his spare time for those less fortunate. A good-ass dude, you might say, and I will. A man who put his family first. A guy who literally saved his younger sister's life when she got caught in a riptide. And a man who put strangers first with Habitat for Humanity. He put everyone before himself. And our Justin Michael was engaged to be married. Justin had been dating Angie Verhule for about a year, and it had been a fast love. They were mad about each other, living together in Michael's home in Grimes come May 2014. The wedding was planned near a beach in North Carolina where Justin's parents owned a big old home. The wedding was for 2 months later, July 2014. Truly, it was like love at first sight for them both. And they were, they weren't doing any tire kicking. They were wasting no time at all. They were engaged 2 months after they first met. I mean, I'm still having trouble from that taco I ate 2 months ago. So, but hey, when you know, you know. Then May 8th, 2014 came along.
That's absolutely.
We're going to get to a killer who left at the scene nothing behind. Only they were using the internet, right? A digital presence, super easy to track down. And guess what? So is yours. Yes, you. Every time you log online, whether it's your phone or laptop, someone can find a free internet. Justin's mom, Marie, she was staying over too, as it was approaching Mother's Day weekend. His dad was on a business trip. His dad was due to be back soon, and with the wedding fast approaching, it was an exciting time for the Michael Van Huel family. It was a quiet night as spring turned to summer, and in the early morning darkness of May 8th, while Justin slept beside the woman he planned to marry, someone was quietly approaching the house. Someone who had spent months growing more and more obsessed. The night of May 7th had been completely ordinary. The wedding just a few weeks away. And as usual, no one ever wakes up and thinks, well, this is the final dinner we'll ever have together. It never happens when you're expecting it. It was just like any other summer night. Till Marie was woken up in her bed at about 3:30 a.m. Marie, his mom, if she was woken up to the sound of the door opening, she was staying in Justin Michael's spare bedroom. And she saw a figure poke the head in. Now, at first, she thought either that's Justin or it's Angie, coming in, maybe just checking on her, maybe grabbing something they left in this spare bedroom. But the person wasn't moving, just standing there, staring at her. It was pitch black. She couldn't make out who this was. Only she began to realize that this person was taller and bigger than her son or soon-to-be daughter-in-law were. And the only color she could see was red. A red laser shining on her. She couldn't see his face. She couldn't see his clothes. She couldn't see who this was. Just a silhouette. And that single red dot. Then the door slowly shut as the intruder moved on. Marie was confused, unsettled, but she had no way of knowing what was about to happen next. Seconds later, Angie also heard her bedroom door open, and then a bang, bang, bang. Angie turned over in bed and saw this dark figure sprinting from the room, and she looked, and she saw her fiancé, Justin Michael, head covered in blood. He was dead, and Angie was screaming.
What is your emergency?
Somebody just came in and shot my fiance in the head.
Can you go over and check the status of...
He's dead.
Okay.
I know he is.
So there's no
Take
sign
care
of
of
life
yourself.
at all.
Police arrived minutes later and cordoned off the homicide scene. Justin Michael had been shot 4 times in the head as he slept from 6 inches away. An intruder coming into their home to murder specifically him.
Justin was a really great guy, and he's always been around and always been really active. I think that was my connection with him for sure was growing up playing basketball every day or any sport.
Nathan Michael remembers his brother Justin as a great older brother he could always count on.
Mom was in town this week, and we were doing some different activities for Mother's Day.
He was supposed
Look, the digital footprint of one of the high school bullies who was also ganging up on me with Crazy K, going back and forth with that. With the kids, actually, like talking crap about me, slandering me with children from that group. She just left her digital footprint all over my thing. They're all just making their stalking rounds again. Oh my god, they're just gonna help themselves, could they? I bet these are the kids in school who got told to sit on their hands and like mind their neighbors a lot. Their desk neighbors. And their manners.
Justin Thursday night.
For me, there's a lot of anger that goes with it. The thing that really tears me apart is all the stuff, the future stuff. More so than who did it. It's just all the stuff. All the stuff you miss out on, the plans you had over the summer and that kind of thing. So it doesn't really matter who it was, to be honest with you.
In the home, the DVD player was pulled out and a sweater lay on the floor that was not theirs.
No, I'm not. It wasn't on the chat. I went to my YouTube page. I have the chat open on one side, but it's a separate screen. Hi, Frere. And then I have the video open on a different screen. You guys are over here. Video's over here. Screen for the stream's over here. We're multitasking. How are you?
At first, police were thinking, of course, as you do, was this a burglary person coming in to steal the absolute treasure that is a old DVD player, and then also leaving their sweater there, which was probably worth more than the DVD player. But it was a robbery gone wrong. It was a bit of an escalation of a robbery. Was it the wrong house? Or was it, as we've seen time and time again, simply made to look that way? Angie and Marie were taken in. Because your first thought is, did the intruder even exist? This shadowy figure who they could literally tell nothing about. There were no signs of forced entry, no clues to the killer, no evidence left behind. And so, as detectives worked through the crime scene, another reality became impossible for them to ignore. There were only 3 people inside the house when Justin was killed. Justin and...
So in other words, we're just hanging out, and I've got a true crime playing, but then I also noticed on the side, little side quest, that there is a stalker stalking again.
And Marie. The intruder existed according to both surviving witnesses,
This is
but homicide detectives are paid to be skeptical.
Describe this figure the best you can.
It was all black. I'd say pretty tall.
When you say black, you're talking black.
Everything was black.
Shadowy or a black person?
I don't know. It was I didn't see any color.
You got 2 women, you got a son and a fiance, brutally murdered as he was sleeping, shot 4 times in the head at close range. Angie, there was nothing on her. You'd think there would be blood spatter. There ain't. And both women, when being taken in, were completely, emotionless. Now, that was likely just down to the shock of witnessing something so horrifying. But with every investigation, the circle, it does start small, and then it gets It goes from a small circle into a bigger circle.
Why not for you too?
And I don't know if he looked in on Angie and Justin, and Justin woke up and he sensed trouble. I don't know.
I mean, why not tell Angie?
Did somebody have a grudge against Justin? If you had to rack your brains, who could that possibly be?
Do you have any suspects on who you think would have shot Justin?
I have no idea.
Is there anybody in Justin's life that harbors any ill toward him?
Not that I know of.
Who, in either of your histories, might, not be too keen on it?
This morning, Justin was singled out and murdered. You wasn't. Marie wasn't. Justin was. Okay? What do you mean second ingenious? There wasn't a burglary in your home. That takes away the randomness.
Nothing was taken. I mean,
As far as we're aware of
Okay.
right now.
okay.
Somebody came in there for one sole purpose, and that was to execute him. So, someone was very personal. If for any reason you'd be protecting somebody that you care about, I need to know.
Right.
Because this is not acceptable.
Angie had been married once before, but no bad blood there. However, another relationship after the marriage, but before Justin, did have some nasty business. A guy named Andy Wegener. Things had ended not well in this Andy relationship. They'd been together for about 3 years. It was serious. They had lived together. Even after they broke up, they kept living together, which, okay, interesting. In fact, about 6 months before this shooting, Angie's car, 3 of the windows had been smashed in, her car had been keyed, and there had been a massive dent in the car. Justin's garden had been vandalized. Also, just a few months, so it did seem like somebody had it against Angie and Justin. But, keying somebody's car and smashing somebody's window and vandalizing somebody's garden, it's a bit of a, to go from that to bang, 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 you were dead. Jealousy and obsession is a motive we've seen time and time again. So when you have these 2 people about to be married, it's likely that somebody was just not a fan of that decision. They weren't too keen on that. I mean, Justin wasn't involved in any drugs. Not that Angie knew. Neither of them were rich. So that rules out drugs and money. And it leaves love. In the hours after a horrifying murder like this, you gotta go to the basic motives. None more basic than who you're smooching with. Another person she dated before Justin was a David, though she couldn't remember his surname. And they barely dated, so no biggie. When she met Justin, she broke it off with David. Or so she said.
It was not a full-on relationship.
Did you just not remember him when we talked about
Well,
before?
I had thought about him, but it was kind of like,
One of the first things I'd asked you at the very beginning was who, before Justin, who was your relationship? You said Andy. And you left Dave out.
like
Okay. For whatever reason, and it doesn't matter at this point either. Is there any possibility that with Dave or anyone else that while you've been with Justin, that you maintain any relationship with anyone?
it was like a couple of months of hanging out, and it was kind of like a here or there, and I feel like, I felt like he wasn't being very serious, so I wasn't being very serious with it. His name is Dave.
Okay. What's his Dave?
Was it his last name? No, I just forgot. It'll come to me, I'm sure.
However, she did say that David also didn't take it too well when, she broke it off and she got with Justin. He had sent some very nasty text messages. In fact, he even sent her a message saying, "I will be your final rose." Like that reality TV show which has roses. I actually don't know which one it is. The internet tells me it's The Bachelor. Pretty weird message, though, to send to a girl you had barely dated and now was breaking it off with you to get somebody else. Now, David Moffat was the son of a wealthy farmer, but he had worked these days at Wells Fargo. The sort of guy who kept himself to himself. And at first, it was just another lead, another person to speak with, another name on the ever-growing list. At the time, detectives had no way of knowing that one of those men had already placed himself 6 miles from the murder scene. Remember that strange man by the crashed car? Well, investigators would soon discover he had a connection to the victim. A hell of a connection. The report stated, at about 4 a.m., an off-duty Boone police officer observed a car in the ditch by Highway 141 near Granger and stopped to render assistance. A person who identified himself as Dave stated he needed a ride. Dave was not wearing a shirt when the officer stopped. Dave first put on a black shirt, then took it off and put on a white shirt. David placed the black shirt in a black case and put the case in the trunk of his vehicle. The officer called dispatch, then left. A Polk County deputy arrived shortly thereafter. The deputy determined Dave was David Moffat. The vehicle was registered to him, and he resided in Pleasant Hill. At that time, Moffat was wearing all white clothes, and particles from weeds were clinging to his clothing. Moffat stated he left his cell phone at home. The deputy issued several citations and assisted Moffat to call a cab to take him home. Moffat took a cab to Pleasant Hill. So pretty weird that Dave Moffat's car had been impounded after being involved in an accident 30 minutes after the murder in the middle of the night. 6 miles from Justin's house and nowhere near his own house. Suddenly, that little traffic accident wasn't looking so innocent anymore. Small world. Now at the car crash scene when David had been pulled over after his car had been crashed, he was even asked there and then, do you know anybody in Grimes? Because the police officers who responded to the single car incident, they knew all about the murder, because murder doesn't happen here. So they were like, hey, you don't have anything to do with that guy who was just shot in his bed about less than an hour ago, do you? And David said no, he was visiting his brother. He had no weapons on him, he seemed innocent enough at the time that they let him go. Now, though, police were thinking differently. Investigators actually went back to the scene of the car crash upon hearing that it even happened. Take a look around, maybe something had been dumped there. A firearm perhaps, dark clothing, and there they did find some weird things. Loaded magazines that matched the ones used to kill Justin Michael, earmuffs, camo clothing, and something else. At Dave's car crash scene, in a shoebox, a receipt for an oil change in the name of Andrew Wegener. At the scene of one ex's crash, another ex's name. This is all at the very same time as a fiancé was murdered.
Friends of 30-year-old Justin Michael tell me he embodied what it means to be Iowa nice. Michael's life was cut short Thursday morning, shot to death in his Grimes home.
I've known Justin since he moved in, and he's a real friendly guy.
Terry Campbell says waking up to a crime scene just steps from his house left him in shock.
The initial reaction was, what? Are you serious? Really? In Grimes?
A KCCI camera captured Polk County Sheriff's deputies searching fields and ditches along Highway 141 just north of Grimes.
Andy was then taken in. He was questioned. When did you last talk to Angie?
The last time I talked to Angie would have been when?
She sent a text message to me that said, happy birthday. I said, okay, thanks.
That was it.
When was the last time you were in Grimes? For any reason?
There's a basketball court in the U, is what they call it. That was a while ago.
You know shooting at all?
Shooting?
Yeah, you have it.
I have a 12 gauge. I haven't shot it in 6 years.
Do you have any handgun?
No.
Did you get an oil change? He said he did. In fact, he has the receipts. It's probably in his car or somewhere.
If it turned up somewhere else, how would that happen? If it's somewhere other than your car or at home.
Put the food away. That's about it. I don't know.
Any ideas how it could turn up in this investigation?
No.
Now, Andy would say he had spent last night, the night of the murder, at home, with his girlfriend, and she would be able to back up that he was home that night, though maybe they had made sure to get that story straight before the police even called.
What time did you get off work?
Yesterday I got off at 4.
Okay. Can you walk me through what occurred from 4 o'clock yesterday until we showed up at your doorstep this morning and you're still thrilled to see us?
But if it was a
stolen receipt, or just, I mean, how does a random receipt end up where it did? In the meantime, officers searched David Moffat's house. I mean, you got two different dipshits here. Either one could be the killer. In David's house, no murder weapon, no smoking gun, except one thing: a handwritten note. The notes had some weird shit on them. No light on 9:39 p.m. Possible pathway to backyard. Lights on in-house 9:44 p.m. And so it went on. A stalker's manifesto, basically, for Justin Michael's house.
We talked about that earlier. I think it was in the last live, right? Sometimes people will, when they're stalking somebody, they'll be stalking a place. Maybe it's to try to break into the place, but in other cases, it's to try to track the schedule of a person or learn the schedule of a person over time to figure out, maybe in some cases, when the house is empty. Yeah. And also when they're alone, when they're most vulnerable, what their routine is, when the lights go out, when they turn back on, what cars are in the driveway, who's there, is there a dog, stuff like that. Sometimes they use that type of thought process to rule out what the best place to rob is. In other cases, they're just looking to learn victims' pattern to try to keep re-victimizing them with a spider.
Watching it, scoping it out, the neighbors' houses, easy ways to get in and out, all of that. They also found a bill of sale for a high point 9mm carbine, 3 magazines, and a red dot scope. They'd been purchased about a week earlier, and it was once again in Andy Wegener's name.
They have two dipshits. I heard that that's fun too.
So, like, what the shit? Were they working together? Were they in cahoots before the shoots? You got two guys who dated the same woman, and now she was getting married to another guy who ends up dead. And then after Justin was dead, were they gonna share? Angie, did they ask Angie about this? She might not like it. Following the bill of sale of the gun, it had been purchased on armslist.com, a private sale, $350. And police contacting the seller, he said, yep, he sold it to an Andy Wegener. He used an Andy Wegener email address, even had photo ID for Andrew Wegener when he asked for it when he was selling him the gun. So it was Andy Wegener who bought the gun. The bill of sale later ending up in David Moffat's house. Right? Wrong. The seller would be called in, who did you sell the firearm to? And they showed him, a bunch of pictures, right? Included in those pictures was David Mandy. And he pointed to both Dave and Andy. He said the ID was this guy, Andrew. The actual guy, though, looked a little different, and he was Dave. See, the thing was, Andy and Dave, they both looked sort of similar, same height, same build. They both were gingers, therefore soulless too, despite the lies that they tell. Now, once investigators realized that, everything started clicking into place. The receipt, the firearm purchase, the false identity, the evidence scattered around the crash site. It wasn't random. It had all been placed there like little crumbs, little breadcrumbs. He wanted detectives to follow Andy. He wanted them arresting Andy. He wanted everybody looking in the wrong direction. He'd spent months working on this. The problem was, he wasn't nearly as clever as he thought he was, because the more evidence detectives uncovered, the more obvious the scheme became. One final thing was that the sale of this rifle had gone down in a town called Sigourney, which is about 100 miles due east of Grimes. Police had also found in David's a receipt for some lemonade purchased in the town. So if they could find footage of that person using that receipt, that would tell you who had been in Sigourney that day. It was David Moffat. Now, David denied any interviews with the police, and he demanded a lawyer. Regardless, they had enough to charge him at this point. So David had been behind it, like, the whole time. How did he have Andy's ID then, if he had been the one using Andy's ID? He faked it. That's it. Police found on David's computer the process of how he made a fake ID in Andy Wegener's name. He was planning on framing
Andy for the murder of Justin, framing an old boyfriend for the killing of the new one. And not only that, in the sweater they found in the home, they found a boat registration, the name of which was the father of a local sex offender. Another weird little clue, finding that in the home, it was like he was trying to frame somebody else at the time, a local sex offender. It was like when he went into the house to kill Justin, he was like, oh, fuck it, sure, I'll just leave this here. Hopefully it will go somewhere, maybe. David was trying to throw as much shit at the wall, hoping something would stick. Instead, he just got himself covered in shit. He created fake IDs. He bought...
Okay. That's a theme also we've seen lately. That's what a lot of these people are doing. Trying to calm down. It's just so constant and perpetual, but now it's so backfiring. They did so much. There's a pattern. They did way too much.
Gun under Andy's name. He dropped evidence behind. He left receipts. He left clues. He tried pointing police towards multiple people. That's like...
I think it might have been last night that I talked about that, how sometimes criminals will try to insert themselves in the middle of a case. They'll become witnesses to the crime that they committed so that they can try to find out what's going on or give a false narrative to try to spin the officers or whoever's investigating in a different direction. It's their way to try to maintain some kind of control over the situation or get as close as they can. It's not always exactly like that, but that's something that they do sometimes. Jeffrey Dahmer Ted Bundy, I think, did it. Remember I think I talked about this also. In correlation to it, he was answering calls on like an emergency line or a tip line or something like that. So when people were calling in tips about him, he would know about it.
The villain level plan, the amount of effort and time to twist.
He also became a suspect at one point, but because he didn't have an active criminal record, like a long history of one, they dismissed it for a while. But he actually was the guilty person, and it's just that he hadn't been caught yet. It's not that he wasn't guilty.
The thumbs required to pull this off. I mean, he didn't.
Also, people are figuring out. I just picked up like, oh, it's cold ice cream. It's not mine. It's not me. It's not here. But like, it's like chocolate vanilla. Either, I don't know if it's like in a container, but it's got like a swirl, but it might not be. I know they have it. Kind of like patchwork vanilla chocolate in a container. Or like swirled. I don't know. That's what I'm picking up. Give me the shivers. That's cold.
Pull it off, but to even attempt to do so, insane. I mean, honestly, that would help towards an insanity defense. And folks, you gotta remember, if you're ever planning a murder, maybe don't Google.
Sprinkles? There's that spider. The rainbow sprinkles.
The murder. David was arrested at his home.
26-year-old David Moffat for the murder. Moffat made his first court appearance this morning. KCCI has learned Michael and Moffat worked together on a consumer lending group finance team with Wells Fargo.
David had been stalking Justin. On his computer, they found Google searches. Things police look for. Average response time for police in Grimes, Iowa. Traffic cameras in Grimes. The perfect murder. Do homicide detectives look into mental health? And chances of getting away with murder. The cool thing about this is he learned absolutely jack shit. David had even Googled confession times, so that after the murder he could go and, just get it off his chest. And then sure, sort of after that he could go. You know, another job well done. See, David had been dating Angie, but it only lasted a couple of months and it never got very, very serious. They could see each other like once a week. But then when Angie met Justin, she ended it with Dave. Dave was not too keen on that. In fact, he would send her loads of messages, some being really bitchy about it, other times then he would send her messages being all sweet. I just want you back, babe. But Angie and Justin moved on. Then, get this, David got a promotion. He got a new position at his job in Wells Fargo. David was now joining the very same team Justin worked at. So he was already a bit annoyed to be working closely, like their desks were right beside each other, with the guy who was dating the woman he loved.
What's even weirder is that he ended up working in Justin's department.
I mean, I can think about that. Every morning David walked into work, there was Justin. Every team meeting, every coffee break, every lunchtime, every conversation he overheard about the wedding, about his relationship with Angie, every reminder that Angie chose someone else. And then one day Justin comes in and says, hey, you won't believe this. We're engaged. David flipped out. In fact, he was so upset he had to be sent home early that day and was later fired from Wells Fargo. He stalked the home, planned on framing someone for the murder, and then on May 8th, he entered Justin's home, shooting him 4 times in the head as he slept. He ended up crashing his car that night as he was driving too fast.
He was terrible.
That's the most just ironic part of the story. David spent months planning, stalking, researching, framing, buying weapons, creating fake IDs, and then he drove into a ditch. It wasn't like studying detective work, it was the smallest, stupidest thing ever that caught him. And then dumping all this random crap out in the woods after the crash, I think that makes it just so much more better that after all that time and effort going into framing another man, he didn't even frame himself as an idiot. He was one. David Moffat went on trial in June 2015. He was, of course, pleading not guilty. By that point, investigators had spent more than a year building their case. He went with an insanity defense, that he was a troubled mind, off his meds, his poor brain, he's the victim here. Really. That was literally the defense strategy.
Toward the end, I mean, he's just become I believe, the victim of this manic episode driven by the drugs. It's just not him.
That went over like a big pile of shite. Despite arguing for a diminished responsibility defense in his mental state, the court would find, quote, David could form and did form the specific intent to kill Michael, eroding the viability of the defense. It would be discovered that David had repeatedly sought mental health assistance leading up to that crime, reporting homicidal thoughts. Therefore, he knew what he was doing. He knew he wanted to kill. David had too much going against him, namely, a mountain of circumstantial evidence that all pointed in exactly one direction. The surveillance notes, the fake identification, the firearm purchase, the staged evidence, the internet searches, the crash, the motive, the opportunity. Individually, each piece might be explainable. Together, they painted a very difficult picture to ignore. Even without the murder weapon being found, he was found guilty.
How are you?
David Moffat was ultimately sentenced to life without parole. Justin Michael spent his free time building homes for strangers. He saved his sister's life. He was weeks away from marrying the woman he loved. And all that taken away because one man just, once again, couldn't accept hearing the word no. A man who stalked him, who worked with him every day, who looked him in the face. And then when he heard about the wedding, he threw a hissy fit and spent months planning to murder him. And he did.
That chapter also did one on the Stephen McDaniel case, but here's the news clip.
The crime.
He's inserted himself into the case as a witness, right? But he was the guilty party.
He talks about joining Giddings' friends to look for his law school classmate and how they entered her apartment to see if there was anything wrong. It was also the first time McDaniel found out that a portion of Lauren Giddings' body had been recovered by police from the dumpster where he had put it. Knowing now that McDaniel had murdered and dismembered Giddings, the interview provides a...
No one has seen her since Saturday. The last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and no one's heard from her since.
And did you see her hang out with anyone at the time?
No one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. I've always seen noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much.
And she just recently graduated from Mercer?
Yeah, she and I we were both JD students. We graduated back in May.
What kind of person was she?
She's nice as can be. Very personable, very much people person.
Do you know any enemies she might have had, somebody that might want to hurt her?
We don't know where she is. The only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her. Because we went over. One of her friends had a key. We went inside and tried to see if there was anything amiss, but she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it, so there was no sign that anyone broke in. The door was locked, and everyone got here.
Like I said in the last stream where I brought this up, this is like the type of person who will steal something from you and then pretend to help you look, hoping that you don't suspect them of stealing from you simply because they're helping you look, even though they're the one who took it. Anyway, for a minute. Let me do something about Indiana Jones. So it was like a divine masculine energy coming through and saying something like, I'll be the Indiana Jones to your whoever the counterpart is. It says Indiana Jones' wife is Marion Ravenwood. I'll be the Indiana Jones to your Marion. I keep hearing this. All your time with second chance for a break that would make you the king. There's always some reason to feel not good, and it's hard.
You were born through on your side. You're in the eyes of the angel. Some comfort here. So tired of the straight line, everywhere vultures and thieves at your back. I get it now. There's vultures and thieves at your back. Still keeps on twisting. Keep on living lies that you make up for all that you left. Don't make no difference. Escape from this. It's easier to believe. The sweet endings, all this glorious sadness brings me to my knees. In the arms of an angel, fly away from this dark cold hotel. You are of your silent arms of the angel. So comforting. My darlings, I'm going to bid you adieu for the night. Thank you for being here. Sweet dreams. Grand rising for those on the flip side, and happy in between for those on the interim. Do no harm. Take no shit. I'll catch you on the next one. Blessings.